how to find balance in life. If you are like me, an earthling, we are given 24 hours to spend our day. No matter how many things we squeeze into our to-do list, how much time we spend on work, and how long we sleep, our time is still going to be 24 hours. It's hard not to wonder how our day went by with just a blink of an eye. Our time seems to slip through our fingers like sand if we don't hold on to them carefully. So, what have I done today? Work, sleep, repeat. That's how our normal day looks. And from what's supposed to be 40 hours work week, we stretch it to 60 or even 70 hours. If your life looks like this, that's when the 888 rule comes in. And in short, I'll just call it the 888 rule. And you might ask, what is this rule about? It's one of the easiest rules we can apply into our life. So easy to a point where I wonder, isn't that how we are all supposed to live our life? But apparently, based on my daily schedule, that's not how I live. And if I have to summarize the 888 rule, it's a rule that helps us structure our lives into 3 blocks of 8 hours, representing work, life, and health. Let's start with the first 8 hours, work. 8 hours workday, that's pretty common across the world. But how did we derive to this almost universal working hours? The average working hours for humans vary drastically during different periods of our existence. 4.8 hours during the prehistoric era, where hunters just search for food and find shelter, and went as high as 14 to 16 hours a day during the 19th century. That's when Industrial Revolution is at its prime. Working hours are not dependent on season and daylight. Factory owners want to maximize machine and manpower in order to maximize factories' output. And of course, companies profit. I know, how is it possible for anyone to sustain this kind of lifestyle? And that's the reason why this man, Robert Owen, he had formulated a goal, 8-hour workday, and created this slogan, 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. And that's how this rule is created. But it's not popularized until much later, when Henry Ford implemented this 8 hours workday to his company to increase productivity in Ford's production line. And that's what inspires our working structure in the present day, 9 to 5. I know different countries and jobs have different working hours. For Singapore, our working hours are pretty much standard, 9 to 6. And that will take out 9 hours of our time. And not to mention, our current society perceives people who live on time as lazy and don't care much about their work, while working late and being busy is a badge of honor to prove that you actually care about your work. I know how it felt because I've done it before, staying for the sake of staying back. But if you are staying late at work or take up more than 8 hours because of your productivity, here are some tips that can help you with your workflow. Especially when you are working from home and there's no one to monitor your progress. First, stop multitasking. A lot of people think that doing tons of things at once is the most productive use of their time. But this mindset is definitely wrong. And multitasking does not equal productivity. Because just like a computer, we have limits on our brain capacity and our attention. When we are juggling between 2 tasks, our attention is half focused, and that is detrimental for our work performance and quality. Next is remove time waster. I used to waste a lot of time on social media, especially on Instagram. To be frank, sometimes I still fall inside the wormhole of consuming content, and I have to say, it's almost like an addiction. Hitting the reload to see what's new, watching random videos on YouTube. So, in order for me to stay focused, I've muted my social media notification, and I banned myself from using my phone when I'm working. And that helps a lot when it comes to removing time waster. And the third one is delegate. When you feel that you are overwhelmed with your work, ask yourself this question: could someone else help you with your project? Because by delegating tasks to others, that can save us a lot of time. Sometimes we are worried that the other person can't meet our standard, or think that it's a waste of time teaching the other person how it's done. But if you look at it at the long run, by spending 1 hour of teaching time, that can save us a lot of time in the future when we can delegate job to the other person. So don't put all the tasks on ourselves, trust others, and that can multiply our time. I know, it's almost inevitable when it comes to staying at work late. But the least we can do is leave our working mind in the office by controlling and limit ourselves from checking our work emails after a certain time, because that's the time for our next 8 hours. Finally, we're done with our work, and that's another start for our next 8 hours. And that's also the time for us to revitalize our mind and body. That's when we can spend time on our health, relationship, hobby, and even explore new things that we value. 8 hours is neither long nor short. It's 1/3 of our day, so fully utilize this time once it starts. That's exactly when you leave your work. I know, transportation back home might be a long and daunting journey, but it's also the best time for us to cultivate ourselves by reading books that we always wanted to read, or researching on a business that you want to build. For me, my me time is extremely crucial. Whenever I have to work late in my previous job, so late that I only have the time for dinner, and the next thing I have to do is to prepare to sleep. And during this period, I felt depersonalized, and I felt like I haven't been living when I'm working. Regardless if I have sufficient sleep, I'll still feel restless for the next day because I don't have time for myself. It doesn't have to be 8 hours straight. We can break it down into micro blocks from these 8 hours. Maybe 4 hours to deepen our relationship and bond with people we care. Another 4 hours for self-development, self-reflection, and self-care. And now to the last 8, and that has to be the easiest: sleep. I have a love-hate relationship with sleep. I enjoy sleeping. I'm also someone who can fall asleep easily when I'm on my bed, but I can't help to think that it's a waste of time if I sleep more than 8 hours. I can do so much more if I can sacrifice 1 to 2 hours of sleep. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us have thought of it. Whether is it to do more work or to spend more time on ourselves. But I can't express how important it is to have sufficient sleep. 8 hours is just the average duration. Everyone has a different requirement, which makes it so hard for us to know what's perfect. A sweet duration will be 7 to 9 hours. However, I have some friends, no matter how long they sleep, they will still feel restless. And others who still can be energetic with 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And that depends a lot on our sleep cycle, and I shall talk more about sleep in my future video. For myself, I know sleep is important. It indirectly affects our work performance and emotion. But I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I'm rushing for my videos, I'll have to cut my sleep short. I'm still trying my best not to compromise my sleep and get at least 7 hours every day. So that's how the 888 rule works. It's extremely easy, but yet at the same time, we have already forgotten how to live our life. We need to find balance between work, emotion, and health, because if we overemphasize and spend more time on a particular aspect, it means that we have to sacrifice the time we spend on other aspects. If our time is not managed properly, our work performance dips, our health deteriorates, and we might even feel unhappy with our life. I think this rule isn't here for us to follow a strict routine, but it's here to cultivate awareness on how we can live a balanced life by managing our time evenly. And it's a good reminder, are we living every moment of our life meaningfully? I'll say my current lifestyle is 9 hours of work, 8 hours of me time, and 7 hours of sleep. It's pretty close to this rule, So let me know how you structure your day down in the comment section below. If you'd like to show your support, you can check out my Instagram or check out my other videos on this channel. I have a Patreon link at the description below. If you think that this video has added value to your life, you can check out my Patreon link to support this channel monetarily. I'm extremely grateful for the Patreon support and for you who are watching this, and I'll see you guys on the next week.